Well, joining me now live in our Lagos studio to discuss this development and much more, I have oil and gas analyst Bala Zakka in the studio. Good to have you on the breakfast show this morning.
Thank you.
Let's have your first reaction now with the NNPC taking equity participation in these refineries. Yes, it is mandatory. It's constitutional, so to speak. It's the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, in terms of our refinery base and how we manage the stock of volumes we also have, it's quite critical that we have this conversation as towards transparency, intentional moderation of conversations, and also having infrastructure run and meet up their capacity, because
Correct.
we've not necessarily had the best foot being put forward when we talk about project management and the capacity we ought to meet up with.
You're 100% correct. Generally, in line with international financial reporting standards, you know, when a company, in this case probably NNPC, call an investor, decides to probably acquire between 20% and 50% equity in another company that we call investee company, probably in this case Dangote, then the
And the five others.
yes, then the investing company, in this case called NNPC, will be qualified, you know, to participate in the operating and financial policy decision making, you know, of the investee company. That's always something that I see as probably a good idea. But but once the equity is more than 50%, then the investing company will even assume what we call control. Even though from NNPC I heard that, or we heard that it's mandatory, but honestly I will advise that NNPC should trade with some caution, because we have 4 refineries that we need to fix. These private refineries we're talking about probably have their own model of operation. They probably already have their approach to financing. Probably it will be equity participation or from loans that we call also debt and things like that. So to some extent, I think NNPC has too many things to handle. Revamping 4 refineries that have not been functional is enough. I want to advise, if it's okay, that NNPC should be a bit more strategic and futuristic. And what I simply mean is this. We're talking about almost liberalization this time around. You know, allow these players to come in. Give them the support you are going to give them, but be strategically focused. Look at the futuristic values that will come to the Nigerian oil and gas industry, and practically within Africa, look at something that like the African mining vision, you know, which generally has to do with transparent, equitable, you know, and optimal processing of our resources or mineral resources, just to make sure there is sustainable growth and social economic development.
I'd like to take you on the words sustainable growth and socio-economic development. Now, with the coming up of these new refineries as well, they're already at developmental stage. You look at Dangote, they've already passed a 50% stage in terms of completion now. At the end of, do you think these new refineries are going to shift the focus and also address the current challenges we have in terms of production volume? Yes, they are independent entities, and
Correct.
investors have their funds in there, and we cannot necessarily put the whole weight of expectation on them because they are independent entities. But knowing that we have refineries that are not necessarily working, and we don't have the investment to put them back on track, how do you think this now shifts the conversation to the new ones coming up and then the capacity to deliver?
Honestly, if you ask me, I will suggest that NNPC should keep off, even though they said it's mandatory. And looking at our own 4 non-functional refineries, there is only one index that is making the refineries not to function, and that index is called basically corruption. To me, corruption is an attitude, just like alcoholism, prostitution, drug addiction, and banditry. And if you want to move away from a bad attitude, you can move away from a bad attitude. Because we are talking about a population of probably 200 million citizens. Then you're also having what we call strategic industrial sector strategic domestic sector and strategic commercial sector, relying on less than 7,000 megawatts of electricity, you know, to generate power and energy. So to some extent, you will expect this size of population and those sectors to look for other sources of energy or power. So to that extent, I mean, they just need to focus and let's get our refineries functional and working.
Dr. Bala Zakka, now wrapping up our conversations gradually, let's look at the fact that we are having dwindling oil revenue at this point in time. That's the reality on ground, and also conversations around project management and then the future of gas. How do we merge all of this to become the new reality? And then you talked about strategic engagement and focus. How then do we now marry these issues of dwindling oil revenue, the future of gas, project management?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it is just the mismanagement also of the oil and gas industry on the side of Nigeria, because as at yesterday, to the best of my knowledge, the Brent crude was selling for like $70 per barrel. Our own Bonny Light was like $69 per barrel. So if you look at even the price now and our benchmark price for our budget, there is a huge differential. What we just need to do is to internally focus and make sure all the revenues we are going to get from the selling of crude oil are used to diversify and look at other sectors that will generate revenues for us. Then when you talk about gas generally, of course, gas is a cleaner fossil fuel. Gas has so many functions. The first one is this: we can use it to drive gas turbines and generate electricity. If we can generate enough electricity, people will not be running to the petrol station or to the stations to buy diesel, kerosene, and petrol. That's one. You can use the same gas in transportation. We have heard about the compressed natural gas. You can use that to drive vehicles. We have also heard about, fertilizer or agriculture. You can use the same gas to drive that and be sufficient in terms of fertilizer. So there are so many benefits, and it's, of course, a cleaner fossil fuel. So the future is bright for Nigeria. All we need to do is to be strategic and have some dexterity to manage our oil and gas industry, most importantly, the downstream sector.
The conversation globally is looking at cleaner energy, and at the end of the day, Nigeria has to put a better foot forward in terms of that regard. Thank you very much for your time on the Breakfast Show this morning, Dr. Bala Zakka.
Thank you.
I've added doctor to your name already.
Thank you.